Crazy. I don't want to put the attitude.
Who's that creeping through my window? 40 on me like I'm Winslow. Hit that nigga with that act right. I was fighting wars day and night. Who's that creeping through my window? 40 on me like I'm Winslow. Hit that nigga with that act right. I was fighting wars day and night. They keep it real when niggas, man, most of y'all frauds. Seem like you frauds. Y'all pussy niggas won't ride for your dog. Right at your man and put the dagger right in his heart. I'm playing my part. Definitely I'm playing it smart. And if I don't get you, then I'm coming for your brother then. Or his mother then. It's kind of crazy revenge settling. Rape, sold, and murdered the natives when they was settling. Coming in out of the water that they was fishing in. I was raised in hell. It got dark when I was pedaling. White man harassing the block when we was pedaling. White man who also was the plug when we was pedaling. I would never fraud if I was on David Letterman. This is UPK, ain't no job it's a bass. When the Christ come back, I'm gonna ride on your ass. Got the Johnny Walker in me, and I'm all in my bag. I'm on my Friday the 13th with the gun and the mask. Ah! Who's that creeping through my window? 40 on me like I'm Winslow. Hit that nigga with that act right. I was fighting wars day and night. Who's that creeping through my window? 40 on me like I'm Winslow. Hit that nigga with that act right. I was fighting wars day and night.
Hey yo, the Carbonaccio, fucking doing crazy like they destined on the Flocko. Righteous from the block though, the beat I catch a ride, but I always miss my stop though. Beefing with my shorty till I stuff it in the taco. Who's that creeping through my window? I ain't with the complications, I'ma keep it simple. Burn all black Dickie to the Timbo. You gon' find exactly what you looking for. Limbo, deep experience I live from 2036. I see my brother when it's been done. Every day I think about the trouble that I'm in the devil cause he is one. It's not a motherfucker, I think we should just forgive. That act right, gave a nigga reason to live. Give you extra if you take it back or you renege. See him creeping no Newport, I squeeze the cig.
Who's that creeping through my window? 40 on me like I'm Winslow. Hit that nigga with that act right. I was fighting wars day and night. Who's that creeping through my window? 40 on me like I'm Winslow. Hit that nigga with that act right. I was fighting wars day and night.
Where's the competition? I'm bored with it. Stepping up a board mission. I keep 2 fours with it. Don't feel like a forward hitter. This piece I'm adored with it, but you can get gored with it. You don't want to war with him. This hammer, I'm Thor with it. You pray for my downfall, I just pray that the Lord with him. Taking every shot and I'm keeping the score with him. But this ain't a game. Ain't no back and forth with him. So quick, I'm dressed to kill. You can tell how that forfeit him. It just ain't in him. That beef is takeout. That means it's just steak dinner. I grip the stick, hit a switch and make you switch gender. That stretch 5 is too much, I make you switch center. That pressure on you call for God, you a chain sinner. A warlord, don't show no pain, just put that pain in her. A pillar in the shit, you know it ain't no change in her. It's legit if you see it in my name in it. It's UPK, nigga. Get it.
Who's that creeping through my window? 40 on me like I'm Winslow. Hit that nigga with that act right. I was fighting wars day and night. Who's that creeping 40 on me like I'm Winslow? Hit that nigga with that act right. I was fighting wars day and night.
In this time of the pandemic, where COVID-19 has crippled the world economies, where our government has ordered nationwide shutdown, where hospitals are overwhelmed.
Shortly after, the unthinkable happened.
I was literally stunned and frozen.
And their religious leaders are proven to be frauds. Where do you go to get all your questions answered and to hear what God has to say about this matter? You can only find the answers in the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge under Commanding General YAHANNA. We give you scriptural breakdowns of world events and the up and coming world war. We will show you in the Bible where the children of Israel, who are the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans today, would suffer slavery in Jamaica, Caribbean, North, Central, and South America, and other parts of the world. We will show you in the Bible where God said he would send plagues upon the earth before he frees people from this captivity.
The World Health Organization has declared coronavirus a global pandemic.
We will give you the true teaching of the Bible, precept upon precept. To learn more, subscribe today and call the number in the description for I.S.U.P.K Jamaica. Shalom.
Shalom, Israel. My name is Officer Kayadwan out of I.S.U.P.K Jamaica. I.S.U.P.K started 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York. I.S.U.P.K is run by Commanding General YAHANNA, the one man with the rank and the authority to lead Israel at this time. I say, Yahweh Basham Yahweh Brakatam to my brothers. Yahweh Shamar Alatan Basham Yahweh to my sisters. All right, so today's class topic is, you know what I mean, a king will take your sons. You understand? I mean, with that class topic which will be a very interesting topic. You understand? But shortly, you know what I mean, quickly, we just go, you know what I mean, discuss, you know what I mean, the nature of the Maroon Treaty with the British, you know what I mean, and to show you that, you know what I mean, we were commanded by the Most High to never go into any treaty, you know what I mean, or covenant with the Edens, you know what I mean? And the Maroons, they are the same as regular Jamaicans. They are Israelites, you understand? And the Most High commanded the Israelites that we should never go into any form of treaty, especially us in slavery, you understand? So, we'll just, you know what I mean, quickly, let me just find the treaty. I read part of the treaty. See? And I'll show you, say, yo, you know what I mean? These oppressors never really have any good intention for the Maroons. You understand? They were just using the Maroons. You understand? Because them could defeat the Maroons. So me I say, they were just using the Maroons because them could defeat the Maroon at the time. You understand? So this is the Maroon Treaty. This is a copy. You can find it on cyber.harvard.edu. You understand? You can just type in full Maroon Treaty and you can print it. You understand? And the nature of the treaty, you know what I mean, it kind of shaky, you see? But the treaty itself is just another one of the white man's or the oppressors' plot to buy some time until him overthrow you. But you know what I mean? Let me just get straight into the treaty. So we're going to start at 6, and this is what it says. That the said Captain Kojo, you know what I mean? We know about Kojo, you know what I mean? The captain of the Maroons at the time, the leader of the Maroons at the time. If you hear some rain in the background, it's because the door open and rain fall, and you have to keep the door open in order to get Wi-Fi signal. So just bear with that a little bit. You understand? And his successor do use their best endeavor to take, kill, suppress, or destroy, either by themselves or jointly, with any other number of men, you know what I mean, commanded and that service by His Excellency the Governor. So basically, this is telling you that, you know what I mean, they're soliciting, you know what I mean, the service of the Maroon, and the Maroon is expected to kill, suppress, or destroy anybody who go up against the British government. You understand? Let me just jump to 7th. And it says, seventhly, that in case this island be invaded by any foreign enemy, the said Captain Kojo and his successors hereinafter name are to be appointed, should then upon notice given immediately repair to any place the governor for the time being shall appoint in order to repel the said invaders with his or their utmost force, and to submit to the orders of the commander in chief on that occasion. Meaning, now the Maroons have become like soldiers, like a JDF soldier. So they are expected to defend Jamaica. You understand? And the government of Jamaica at that time was the British. You understand? So they become like British soldiers according to this treaty. You understand? Eighthly, that if any white man shall do any manner of injury to Captain Kojo, his successor, or any of his or their people, they shall apply to any commanding officer or magistrate in the neighborhood for justice. And in case Captain Kojo or any of his people shall do any injury to any whiter person, he shall submit himself or deliver up such offender to justice. So in other words, you know what I mean? They are not sovereign. You understand? To show you the cunningness of the oppressor. Because at the Maroon, you know what I mean, get their full sovereignty. You know what I mean? They would not have to come to the court of the oppressor. You understand? In order to get justice, if any white man, according to the article, you know what I mean, did any injury to any Maroon, you know what I mean? They could have, you know what I mean, taken, you know what I mean, matters into their own hand. Just to show you, this treaty wasn't about any real sovereignty. It was more like, you know what I mean, all right, we can't beat you, let us employ you. You understand? That was it. And if you are wronged, you will need to come to our court in order to get your justice. And if you do any wrong, you understand, you need to come to us to turn yourself in. That's basically what this treaty is saying. All right. Ninthly, that if any Negro shall hereafter run away, and this is where it gets interesting, you understand, from their master or owner, and shall fall into Captain Kojo's hand, they shall immediately be sent back to the chief magistrate of the next parish where they are taken. And these that bring them are to be satisfied for their trouble, as the legislator shall appoint. The assembly granted a premium of 30 shillings for each fugitive slave returned to his owner by the Maroons, besides expenses. And this is where, you know what I mean, that's why the Most High say you must not come into any covenant with these oppressors or these heathens, because this is what it causes. So now the Maroon fought for their freedom out of slavery, right? And now this treaty is binding the Maroons that, you know what I mean, they should return anyone that seeks the same privilege or the same right. You know what I mean? Any one of their brothers that seek to free themselves from, you know what I mean, the oppression of the oppressor at that time, the Maroons are expected to bring them back to the oppression. You understand? And this is why the Most High say we must not come into no covenant with these oppressors, because in other words, we become traitors to our own people. You understand? So, and the oppressor knew this. You understand? But a better thing for the Maroons to have done was, you know what I mean, to any runaway slave that came to them, you know what I mean, facilitate them and build your army and build your sovereignty, make your thing great. You know what I mean, instead of coming into a treaty with the devil, you understand? All right. So, tenthly, that all Negroes taken since the raising of the party by Captain Kojo, people shall immediately be returned. You know what I mean? And remember, the one above said that they would get 30 shillings. Like, they were implying the Maroons like bounty hunters to catch runaway slaves. You understand? 11thly, that Captain Kojo and his successors shall wait on His Excellency. And this is very crucial. You understand? This is a crucial part of the treaty, because wait on His Excellency means that you are now a servant too. You know what I mean? His Excellency would have been, you know what I mean, the King of Britain at that time. You understand? Or the commander-in-chief for the time being, every year if they run to require. You understand? So you are now a part of, you know what I mean, basically a part of the British Empire. All right, 12. That Captain Kojo, during his life, and the captains succeeding him shall have full power to inflict any punishment they think proper for crimes committed by their men among themselves. You understand? Salakia. Death only accepted. You understand? So in other words, so the Maroons can, if somebody steal right? In the Maroon communities. Captain Kojo or any succeeding captains, you know what I mean, their government structure would be able to carry out punishment, but not in the form of the death penalty. You understand? Which, if they were a sovereign state or given the proper sovereign state by these oppressors, right? They should have been able to carry out, you know what I mean, any form of punishment they require because they are sovereign. But this does show you that this sovereignty that the oppressor claims that he gives the Maroon through this treaty was not more than an illusion. You understand? All right. So we're going to jump into some scriptures right now. So look here. We'll jump into some scriptures. Right? And the first scripture we're going to read is Psalms 55 and 21. And this is what it says. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. And this is what, you know what I mean, you can clearly observe by this, you know what I mean, treaty. That the words used in this treaty, you know what I mean, they were smooth. You know what I mean, words, you know what I mean, to fool the Maroon in thinking that this oppressor was actually, you know what I mean, becoming their ally, basically. Slakia. Zin? But war was in his heart. You understand? And this is the nature of the oppressor. War is in his heart. When he's speaking to you about a treaty, you know what I mean, or talking to you about some deal or arrangement, just know that he is planning and how he's going to overthrow you. You understand? You know what I mean? And he will adhere to no treaty. You know what I mean? How many treaty did they, you know what I mean, sign with the Native Americans, right? And kept none. You know what I mean? None of these treaties they kept. So, and the Maroons basically, you know what I mean, came into the same treaty with these oppressors. You know what I mean? So what made, you know what I mean, of course the Maroons, right, wouldn't be aware of the subtlety, you know what I mean, of this oppressor, right? But, you know what I mean, history have proven that this oppressor, he keeps no treaty. You understand? Let me jump to another scripture. And this is Exodus chapter 23, verse 32 to 33. And this is what it says. Thou shalt make no covenant with them. You know what I mean? And this is what I said earlier. The Most High commanded us that we should make no covenant, or in other words, no treaty. You know what I mean? With these Edens. Because the Most High knew what we didn't know. You understand that these Edens will not adhere to any treaty. You know what I mean? As I said before, the oppressor, he came into several treaties with the Native Americans. You understand? And he kept none. You understand? All right, this is Deuteronomy 28 and 68. To show you that, all right, even though our Maroon brothers, they consider themselves almost separate from the regular slaves or descendants of slaves here in Jamaica, right? But we are the same people because they all came over here on slave ships. All right, many of them were, you know what I mean, mixed, intermingled with the natives of this land, which are Israelites anyway, you know what I mean, which many of which were brought over Europe to serve slavery by the means of slave ships. So instead of our brothers thinking that they are separate from us, right? They should read Deuteronomy 28 and 68 to realize that we are the same people. And I'm going to read it right now, Zin. And this is what it says. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again. Right? So we know how our Maroon brothers came over here. And we know what happened to the natives of this land. You understand? They were brought into slavery by the means of slave ships. And this is what the Bible said would happen to the children of Israel. You understand? For breaking the Most High laws. So regardless if you think you're sovereign in Maroon Town or, you know what I mean, in the cockpit country, you are still under the curses of Deuteronomy 28. You understand? And you are still expected to keep the Most High laws. You can't, no treaty can separate you from your brothers here in Jamaica. Right? Let me continue reading. By the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again. And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. And we know what happened to the Maroons when they were brought over here, you know what I mean, and slave ships, right? They were sold to their enemies. You understand? Which the scripture is basically telling you that the oppressor who enslaved us is not our friend. So there's no treaty that we can sign with the oppressor. You know what I mean? Except that treaty puts us, you know what I mean, at the top. Not any treaty to serve him. You understand? And that wouldn't even be a treaty. That would be like, you know what I mean, they're paying tribute to us. You know what I mean? They would have to pay us tax. That's the only agreement we can come in with, come into with this oppressor. Not we signing any treaty to coexist with them and fight on their behalf. You understand? They would have to be subservient to us. You understand? But just to show you that the Maroons have to know that, you know what I mean, they are no different from the regular people here in Jamaica. We are all Israelites and we are all suffering from the curses of Deuteronomy 28 and you know what I mean, 28 basically. You understand? And we are expected to keep these laws. You understand? All right, the next scripture is, and bear in mind, it says you are sold unto your enemies, right? And that is an important point because the next scripture that I'm going to read, Zin, will explain to the Maroons why the Most High say we must not come into any covenant with these heathens. And this is what it says. This is Ecclesiasticus 12 and verse 10. And it says, never trust thine enemy. You understand? For like as iron rusted, so is his wickedness. You understand? So the Maroons should have never trusted the oppressor by signing any kind of treaty with the oppressor. You understand? Because time telling now, and now the Maroons are in danger of losing the very land that the treaty said that they were sovereign in. You know what I mean? Now the oppressor, the same oppressor that the Maroons, you know what I mean, signed the treaty with, is, you know what I mean, pushing our government, you know what I mean, to mine on the land that the treaty said that they own. You know what I mean? Just to show you that you can't come into any treaty with this oppressor. And you know what I mean? If this treaty was really, really binding, as it was supposed to be, Zin, where is, you know what I mean, the English government speaking out against our government, you know what I mean, trying to infringe on Maroon land? You don't see that. You don't see them speaking out and say, don't touch the lands of the Maroon because, you know what I mean, we signed a treaty in 1739 or 38 and that treaty is still binding. You don't see them speaking out against our government because, you know what I mean, they never intended to keep any treaty. This was just a plan just to make the Maroon live at peace with the oppressor so that they can continue to oppress. You understand? So the scripture says, never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusted, so is his wickedness. So now you're seeing time pass and you're seeing the iron rusting. You're seeing the true intention of this oppressor. You understand? Now he wants to infringe on your land, sending his, you know what I mean, his servants, which is the Jamaican government, to now mine on your land. You understand? It's the same nation of people who control the mining companies. You understand? It's the same nation of people who this treaty was signed with, and they are the ones behind the mining. You know what I mean? Now these same people is sending our government are probably signing deals with our government to take your land. You know what I mean? No treaty you come into with this oppressor will last. It's only temporary. You understand? And our brothers, you know what I mean, in cockpit country, you know what I mean, the Maroons need to understand this. And they need to come back into treaty with the regular occupants, you know what I mean, descendants of the slaves here in Jamaica, and realize that we are brothers, you know what I mean, and we are not different, and we are suffering the same curses. You understand? All right. So this is the book of Job, chapter 9 and verse 24. And this is what it says. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. And our brothers need to understand that, you know, that the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. You know what I mean? There's no plot of land on this on this earth that, you know what I mean, you can claim, because the earth is given into the hand of the oppressor, the wicked. The same people who enslave us rules this earth. You know what I mean? Until our King Yahawashi Mashiach comes back. You know what I mean? There's no plot of land that he won't send his forces and take from you. whether you claim you're sovereign or not. You understand? That is what our brothers need to understand. And understand that, yo, the only way you will get real sovereignty is if you come back to these laws, statutes, and commandments in this Bible. You understand? And serve the Most High. You know what I mean? As we are commanded to do, keep these laws. And then we will gain our freedom out of this captivity and gain our true sovereignty. You understand? So, yeah, man, just to break that down a little bit. You know what I mean? And remember to subscribe to the channel, like, you know what I mean? Leave in the comments, tell me what you think, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? My brother Abadawan is with us, you know what I mean? And he will cover the class topic, which will be a very interesting class topic. So without further ado, you know what I mean? I turn the class over to Priest and Officer Abadawan.
Shalom, Hebrew.
Shalom, sir. Yahweh Shai Barakatah.
Yahweh Shem Yahshua Brakatam. Yahweh Shem Yahshua Brakatam to my brothers, Yahshama Elatan Basham Yahshai, to the sisters. Welcome to another evening of UPK Jamaica class. Today, Wednesday, we are looking at the laws, looking at our law class. And, well, here you get some laws there. You got some laws which the Maroons were, well, a treaty. A treaty is not a declaration of independence, really.
God.
A treaty is made between you and then again, who is the author of the treaty? The person who is the author of the treaty is going to put things in his favor.
Right.
Maybe if you check it back then, maybe the Maroons couldn't read, I don't know.
You understand? I was thinking the same thing. So lucky, sir.
Maybe they couldn't read.
Right.
Yeah.
God.
Because what that treaty does was to turn them into slave traders.
Right.
Because if you run away from a plantation and they bring you back,
right,
they can collect a sum,
right,
for returning you. Plus, it says any additional expense they incur in getting you back to your plantation. Then they could demand that from the thing there. So this is why, you see why we can't make treaty with other nations, because when you look at our laws, what our laws say we should do to each other. We have to love our neighbors as ourselves, referring to our brothers. So there right now they have a conflict. This man who's your slave escape, come to your rescue, but he's also a bounty. There's a bounty on his head also that you want to collect.
Right.
So you because of the treaty now, the treaty says you should turn him, you should bring him in back.
Right. and slack, yes, sir. And the bounty now, you know what I mean? It creates a conflict in the mind of any Maroon who would want to keep him or save him. That, you know what I mean? If me turn him over, I will get money. So why not just turn him over and collect the funds? Corrupt the minds of the Maroon, you understand?
Right.
Which was the plan of the oppressor to begin with.
And the same thing happened with the gangs.
Right.
When a bounty is on a gang member, you know, each man in the gang wondering, boy, that man has to, then we should turn him in and collect the money.
Right.
You understand? But the British, how the Maroons started, you know. If you look at how the Maroons started when we were under the Spanish. And then the British invaded. And when the British invaded, the Spanish rulers made a deal with the slaves who helped them to fight the British. That you fight and win this war, we give you your freedom.
God.
So when the British came in and overthrew the Spanish, they decided, say, well, why are we free now? We're not going back under the British. But the
God.
British now wanted to bring them back under their jurisdiction.
Right.
So no, you're still a slave. Come back. Man, they said, really, come back. We have guns.
God.
Right. And it went into wars from the time of when the British invaded, right up to the time when they fought, when they had the treaty. They fought many, many wars. And in many of these wars, they angle the British so terribly that these are swept under the carpet, meaning that they don't speak about them.
God.
But you have some library, you know. I think it's a national library, but you can't go into these places again physically right now. You can do some searches online, but you have to know exactly what you're searching for.
God.
You understand? Because you could go into those and research the various wars that the Maroons fought, you know. Because there were wars that when there was Kojo, there was who they signed the treaty with? Kojo, right?
Cancer. Yeah, man.
All right, but there was also Nani of the Maroons. She had her warriors. There you had one the Bolas was before them. From here the name Juan de Bolas, you know, that are Spanish.
Okay, yeah.
So he was there fighting from the time of the Spaniards. You have a community name after him, Juan de Bolas. The Maroon thing is trust me, it's not just a 5-minute talk about these people. They are Israelites, but we don't know. Well, we think they are Israelites because of how they are also treated. If they were Africans, probably they would have cut off a part of Jamaica, give them.
Right.
Because the white man would have known that these are not the enemies that we are fighting. These are not who we want to enslave. Because they knew who they wanted to enslave. They weren't trying to enslave any Africans. They were enslaving Israelites.
God.
Yeah. And they were so aware of it. Why we get mixed up is because of the slavery and what they taught us.
God.
But you know, thanks to the Most High for Tawada to the Most High for raising up the I.S.U.P.K.
That's right.
We're under commanding General YAHANNA now, and we can come and learn the truth, look back at history, do some archaeological research. We don't have to go there and dig up in the ground. Just by being injected with the truth, you look back at these histories and you can see where our brothers went wrong. And you can know that the oppressor knew who they were oppressing. Now,
Another one can.
just like the topic we're talking about this evening, where the king will take your sons. The king, no matter whose son you be. Once him see that him can use you for something, you know, him going after you, them taking you. And what did they do with the Maroons? They see that they could use them for bounty hunters. They could have them as their servants. So why not take your sons? The only thing they realized they couldn't do was to enslave them.
Right.
So that was one way to turn our own people against us.
God.
Put some money in the mix. All right. Take me to 1 Samuel 8 and 11.
Another one can. Another one cancer. This is the book of 1 Samuel, chapter 8 and 11. And he said, this will be the manner of the king that shall reign over you. He will take your sons and appoint them for himself, for his chariots, and to be his horsemen, and some shall run before his chariots.
Right. So take your sons and appoint them for himself to be servants. And that being taking your son and appointing your son for himself, depending on who you are, you might get a compensation. Or chances are you might not get any compensation. There might not be any compensation negotiation. No negotiation for salary. What we would call salary negotiation. Just take him and say, all right, here, you're going to serve here. Might even give a house and say, you're going to live here. So he determines that. In the time of Saul and Samuel the prophet, well, it was Samuel before, and the people asked for a king, and this was what the Most High tell Samuel to tell the people. When they read 1 Samuel 8 and 11 going down, it tells you what the king will do to you. And they say, okay, yeah, but we will still have a king. Yes, what they said.
Oh, Salakia, just, no, I was away for a while. Just now, but I said Salakia.
Okay.
Salakia.
So this is the reality. All right, we'll get some comments here. We don't really know who they are from. Just a Facebook user. All right, now let's go further in the scriptures now. Go to 1 Samuel 16.
Canada one concert. Salakia, where you say start at verse 1?
Yeah, we're going through the chapter.
Canada one
starting at verse 1.
Canada one. This is the book of 1 Samuel, chapter 16, verse 1. And the Lord said unto Samuel, how long wilt thou mourn for Saul, seeing I have rejected him from reigning over Israel? Fill thine horn with oil, and go. I will send thee to Jesse the Bethlehemite, for I have provided me a king among his sons.
Jesse the Bethlehemite. Now, you remember when we were reading about Ruth, right? Jesse was the son of who again? Obed. Jesse came from that lineage which Ruth's story came from. So David came from that lineage. So Christ in turn came from that lineage, which the story of Ruth came from.
God.
All right. So Samuel was mourning for Saul because most likely him get feel like Saul. But Saul's own actions caused the Most High to reject him.
God.
Especially when the Most High tell him, say, get rid of these set of people. And he saved their kings and saved the young women and young men, the children of those people, who managed to come up and be a nation again.
Right.
And is a nation until today, a nation giving trouble to us, and not only to us, but to other nations and also to the earth, causing all these kind of pollution and thing in this earth,
God.
simply because of one disobedience. So the Most High rejected him wholesalely. But Saul was in mourning. Samuel was in mourning. In that, like he would be begging, probably begging the Most High to please look at him again now, see what you can do, to give him another chance, blah, blah, blah. But the Most High said unto him, how long will you mourn for Saul? Seeing I have rejected him from reigning over people. Fill your horn with oil, and go. I will send you to Jesse, the Bethlehemite, for I have provided me a king among his sons. Continue.
Another one can. Verse 2. And Samuel said, how can I go? If Saul hear it, he will kill me. And the Lord said, take an heifer with thee, and say, I am come to sacrifice to the Lord.
What we call them things in Jamaica? You say if I can hit the nail on the head. But the Most High I do it with Saul now.
Slack.
My style Saul.
Pull a style upon him. Slack.
Pull a style upon him.
God.
Pull a style upon Saul, man. So yeah, I just carry one effort with you, and when I go in the city or the community that he is in, just tell them so you come to sacrifice unto the Lord, man. Continue.
Another one can. Verse 3. And call Jesse to the sacrifice, and I will shew thee what thou shalt do, and thou shalt anoint unto me him whom I name unto thee.
Right. So you just you do a sacrifice and you call Jesse to the sacrifice. And we're going to do it there. So the main reason for you to be here won't be to anoint. It won't be said to anoint David. It will be said, you come here to do a sacrifice.
God.
Just make sure you invite Jesse. All right, continue.
Another one can, sir. Verse 4. And Samuel did that which the Lord spake, and came to Bethlehem. And the elders of the town trembled at his coming, and said, comest thou peaceably? Salakia.
Right, because I'm afraid of Saul, I'm afraid of the man of the Lord in them time, because in coming to your community, probably coming there is just like you hear that General Mahman coming to your city, and it's not no fire weekend or anything there, but you hear him coming, and you start wonder, say, what him coming for now? Like him come kick over and turn over some things.
God.
You understand? In other words, expel sin and evil that might be in camps. So they get freed now, just like these people in the time of Samuel. Start worry. Say, you come peaceably or what? And he said,
Another one can. Verse 5. And he said, peaceably, I am come to sacrifice unto the Lord. Sacrifice yourself. Sanctify yourself. Another one can. Sanctify yourselves and come with me to the sacrifice. And he sanctified Jesse and his sons and called them to the sacrifice.
all right.
Another one can. Verse 6. And it came to pass when they were come that he looked at Eliab and said, surely the Lord anointed Salakia, surely the Lord's anointed is before him.
Right, continue.
Another one gone. Verse 7. But the Lord said unto Samuel, look not on his countenance or on the height of his stature, because I have refused him. For the Lord seeth not as man seeth, for man looketh on the outward appearance, but the Lord looketh on the heart.
Right. So this man now was a man who this is one of Jesse's son too, you know. Him have this stature fitting for a king.
God.
Yeah, look at this super. This is some food. Yeah, so him say this man him have this stature to be a king, but don't worry about that. I have rejected him. Continue.
Another one can. Verse 8. Then Jesse called Abinadab and made him pass before Samuel. And he said, neither has the Lord chosen this.
Mm-hmm. Continue.
Another one can. Verse 9. Then Jesse made Shammah to pass by. And he said, neither has the Lord chosen this.
Mm-hmm.
Another one can. Verse 10. Again, Jesse made 7 of his sons to pass before Samuel. And Samuel said unto Jesse, the Lord has not chosen these.
Mm-hmm.
Another one can. Verse 11. And Samuel said unto Jesse, are here all thy children? And he said, there remaineth yet the youngest. And behold, he keepeth the sheep. And Samuel said unto Jesse, send and fetch him, for we will not sit down till he come hither.
12.
Another one can. Verse 12. And he sent and brought him in. Now he was ruddy and without slacker and withal of a beautiful countenance and goodly to look to. And the Lord said, arise, anoint him, for this is he.
All right, look at the Bible dictionary if you see the word ruddy. If that word is in the Bible dictionary.
Another one can.
Look in the other part to see meat. Food in this week. I can't go use. Ah. Bread. Put on. Yeah. Oh Lord, I'm thirsty.
Another one can. Right here, sir.
Yeah. You find it in the Bible dictionary?
Can, sir.
All right. Let's see what it means.
Another one can. A word used to refer to a red or fair complexion, in contrast to the dark skin of the Hebrews. Salakia.
They're not already in them black like we. That's all it says.
God.
Because if you remember, is one of his. I don't know. I can't tell you how he would have gotten a lighter complexion, but remember, it will be the same complexion as described in Revelation, like Christ being copper color, brass, I should say, as if it burned in a fire. So you get that lovely finish.
God.
Right. That was like copper color, like some of the native Indians.
God.
Yeah, you were saying something?
Salakia, sir. Cancer. The reason why I'm laugh still, is because it said, in contrast to the dark skin of the Hebrews, like me, I say, yo, well, why is this a debate that the Israelites are black people? You know what I mean? I mean, who write this book? You understand? I never we write this. You
No,
see?
what happened with the white people, you have some who willing to tell the truth and some have an agenda.
Right.
So the ones who have an agenda don't tell the truth.
God.
The ones who don't have an agenda seeking to tell the truth.
God.
Oh, you know that? Who write the Bible dictionary? See a white man? That's true. Eh? Freeze up.
Salakia, sir. You chip out for like a couple seconds.
All right. Mr.
What you
Look
say?
at the. All right. Who write the Bible dictionary? I see a white man write it. Huh? All right. So we're going to continue reading. 1 Samuel. All right. So. What is that?
Salakia, sir.
Yeah, I see. It keep tripping up. All right. Continuing in 1 Samuel chapter 16.
Another one can. This is the book of 1 Samuel, chapter 16, verse 12. And he sent and brought him in. Now he was ruddy and withal of a beautiful countenance and goodly to look to. And the Lord said, Arise, anoint him, for this is he. Verse 13. Then Samuel took the horn of oil and anointed him in the midst of his brethren. And the Spirit of the Lord came upon David from that day forward. So Samuel rose up and went to Ramah.
All right. So David was basically not ugly, but he wasn't tall, dark, and handsome like the other brothers. But he wasn't an ugly man. He was like a shorter.
God.
So because of that now, the father had thought that this man him not have the stature of a king. So make him go and run behind the sheep. But while he was there running behind sheep, the Most High was looking at him.
Right.
Looking at the heart. And the heart that he had towards those sheep.
God.
Whereas if his father had many sheep, he was a shepherd. And he told the story of when the lion came and took one of his sheep. And what did he do? He fought the lion for the sheep.
God.
Now he could have looked and say, you know, I'm making go and answer me, I have more sheep. But he fought the lion for the sheep. So the Most High would like a leader like that over his people. who is going to take every single one of the Israelites out of the hands of the enemies.
Right.
That's what he saw in David. But Saul now was more interested in what he could get. When Saul went up against the Amalekites, Saul and those who were fighting with him, they were looking at what they could get from that battle, the spoils. And said, even though the Most High tell them to kill everything, they said, no, sir, look at them lovely animal, man. And look at these men and young women that we can take as slaves.
Right.
But they didn't know that there will come a time when the table would turn. We always think that we know more than the Most High.
Right.
Even today, we make decisions for today. But the Most High is trying to get us to make decisions for the next 100 years and beyond. So you look at a man now, the Most High is telling you that, why, see, this man is me, make him basically, you know, so me, I know what the kind of character I'm be. Kill him from now. And he said, nah, man, we can put him to service, man. So in other words, you know more than God. All right, so that's what, 13, 14 now?
Another one, verse 14. But the Spirit of the Lord departed from Saul, and an evil spirit from the Lord troubled him.
All right, why it said an evil spirit from the Lord troubled him? Why did the Most High put it that way? Because,
because, you know what I mean, that evil spirit, you know what I mean, was sent by the Most High.
All right. So somebody now would looking at, remember, I know the Most High say he's not a God of mischief, so why would it put this way? From time to time, it's just the interpretations that you get from Christians that you believe that the Most High only do good.
Right.
And that's not so. Let's go to Isaiah 45 and 7.
Another one can. Another one can. This is the book of Isaiah chapter 45 verse 7. And it says, I form the light and create darkness. I make peace and create evil. I, the Lord, do all these things.
Right. So the Most High is saying that he form the light and he create darkness. In other words, he is make light and he make darkness.
Okay.
And he make peace and he create evil. I, the Lord, do all these things. So there is nothing done that is not the Lord done it.
Okay.
That's basically what he's telling you. All right. That's one aspect now, because you want to see why the Most High stop follow Saul and then evil spirit fill the gap. It's like, all right. In the truth now, when they say when a brother leave the truth, what happened?
Seven more demons. You know what I mean?
Stronger than the one before.
God.
Right. So in other words now, by you not following the light, you create a void where evil is going to fill. And because the Most High was no longer following Saul, then that create that void where evil, the evil spirit, our spirits come in. All right. Take me on now also to Acts. Book of Acts, chapter 19, 11 to 16.
Another one can. This is the book of Acts, chapter 19, verse 11. And God wrought special miracles by the hand of Paul. Verse 12. So that from his body were brought unto the sick handkerchief. Let me read that again. Verse 12. So that from his body were brought unto the sick handkerchiefs or aprons, and the disease departed from them. And the disease departed from them, and the evil spirit went out of them. Verse 13. Then certain of the vagabond Jews, exorcists, took upon them to call over them which had evil spirits the name of the Lord, spirits, the name of the Lord, Yahawashi, saying, we adjure you by Yahawashi, whom Paul preached.
All right, so this is like, this is the same thing happens today. The exorcist one now, you have the Vatican, the Catholic priests who claim that them can get dopey out of people, right?
God.
Or evil spirit out of people, and then come with what you call holy water and flash. But here it says that what departed when Paul could take an handkerchief and send to a sick person wherever, or an apron for the person to wear around the waist, and that person will be healed. That person could have a disease, and the disease depart from them. A disease is just like the coronavirus.
God.
So how comes on that holy water can get rid of the coronavirus?
Right.
That's it. No corona, no holy water, no exorcist water can get rid of it. All right, so this was what was happening in Paul time, verse 14.
Another one, verse 14. And there were 7 sons of one Sever, a Jew and chief of the priests, which did so.
All right, so you see, this was a man who was a chief of the priest. He was like a high priest.
God.
So his sons were following him. Continue.
Another one, verse 15. And the evil spirit answered and said, Yahawashi I know, and Paul I know, but who are you?
Right, so demons know, they know the Most High. Just like the story with Job, when the Most High called his counsel and Satan was present. You know, you get the impression from Christian like Satan shouldn't be there. But as we had explained before, how the will of the Most High works, like the judicial system. Satan is just like the prosecutor. The prosecutor, from you get charged, and the prosecutor have one aim, to send your ass to prison.
God.
The prosecutor at no point believe that you are innocent,
Right.
Right? From him opening case, he said, this man is a wicked man, and I'm going to prove to the court how wicked he is.
God.
You understand? So
God.
that is the Satan now in the Most High's judicial system. So right here now, those demons, those Satans work. That's why they were able to say they know Paul and they know Jesus. But who no be? We don't know no.
Right.
All right, 16.
Another one, verse 16. And the man in whom the evil spirit was leaped on them, and overcame them, and prevailed against them, so that they fled out of the house naked and wounded.
Right. Tear off them clothes, run out, them rod dangling before them, and no clothes on, naked. God. And not only were they naked, they get their ass whipped. They were wounded. because such authority was not given unto them. All right, another case now. Let's go to Matthew chapter 8, verse 28.
Another one can. Another one can. This is the book of Matthew chapter 8, verse 28. And when he was come to the other side into the country of the Gergesenes, there met him two possessed with devils, coming out of the tombs, exceeding fierce, so that no man might pass by that way.
All right, so this was a story now where Christ coming into a community. And they call it the going in the country of the Gergesenes. And the entrance are like the gate of the city, or the gate of the country. But then, a country was like a city, with its own walls and thing. Country wasn't necessarily as big as what we have now. As basically just the political borders.
God.
So two men who was possessed with devils come out of the tombs, exceeding fierce. So they were what? Violent.
God.
These were some violent madmen. So that no man might pass by that way. So every man who walk, they will get attacked by them two madmen. That's basically what they were now. Just possessed, just madmen.
God.
Violent madmen. It's just that our system now, what they do once a person, the insane person get violent and they're on the street, the law is now forced to remove them from the street. And they have a injection where they give them, No matter how violent they be, once they get the injection, they must calm, This is east side, but I worry about how the demon thing work.
God.
Go with science.
God.
I say, okay, you have a chemical imbalance in your brain. Let me see if we can balance it back with our injection.
So that, yeah.
But the most I knows what is happening in your body in terms of when they say a demon is there.
Right.
So these two violent madmen came out to Christ. All right. 29.
Another one can. Verse 29. And behold, they cried out, saying, What have we to do with thee, YAHANNA, thou Son of God? Art thou come hither to torment us before the time?
All right. What they meant by tormenting them before the time? What do you think they mean by that?
Meaning, a demon's job is to kill you, So, when them see YAHANNA, them know that, they didn't get the chance to kill these brothers. So they know that it's a possibility that they would be casted out.
Right. And don't have no home.
Right.
So that is going to torment them.
God.
And they'll be tormenting before the time, before they get to kill these men.
Another one can.
All right. 1:30.
Another one can. Verse 30. And there was a good way off from them an herd of many swines feeding. Another one can. Verse 31. So the devils besought him, saying, If thou cast us out, suffer us to go away into the herd of swine.
32.
Verse 32. And he said unto them, Go. And when they were come out, they went into the herd of swine. And behold, the whole herd of swine ran violently down a steep place into the sea and perished in the waters.
All right, so they get to kill something.
Right.
But not these brothers. They get to kill swines, some pigs.
Okay.
Right. But that's the role of a demon, to kill. All right, let's go back to 1 Samuel now.
Another one can.
Start over at 15 or 16. verse 15.
Salakia, which chapter were we before?
16. All right, read again from 14.
Canada one can. Canada one can, sir. This is the book of 1 Samuel chapter 16, verse 14. But the Spirit of the Lord departed from Saul, and an evil spirit from the Lord troubled him.
Right.
Verse 15. And Saul's servant said unto him, Behold now, an evil spirit from God troubleth thee.
So you see, our people knew and understand what happened then, you know.
God.
You see how much we have lost?
Right.
These things were like so known amongst our people. Continue.
Canada one can, sir. Verse 16. Let our Lord now command thy servant which are before thee to seek out a man who is a cunning player and an harp, and it shall come to pass when the evil spirit from God is upon thee, that he shall play with his hand, and thou shalt be well.
Right. So in other words, he was using music. They want him to use music to soothe that torment from that evil spirit that would come upon Saul from time to time. All right, continue.
Canada one can. Verse 17. And Saul said unto his servants, provide me now a man that can play well, and bring him to me.
18.
Verse 18. Then answered one of the servants and said, Behold, I have seen a son of Jesse, the Bethlehemite, that is cunning in playing, and a mighty valiant man, and a man of war, and prudent in matters, and a comely person, and the Lord is with him.
All right. So let's see, this a son of Jesse who could play harp.
God.
And this man was also, this son of Jesse was also a man of war. And he's very good in dealing with matters. In other words, a sensible man.
God.
Right, and he's a beautiful person. He have a good personality. And God is with this man. Verse 19.
Another one can, verse 19. Wherefore Saul sent messengers unto Jesse and said, Send me David thy son, which is with the sheep.
Right. So Saul now said, all right. Send unto Jesse and send him by name, David.
Can.
20.
Another one can, verse 20. And Jesse took an ass laden with bread, and a bottle of water, of wine, and a kid, and sent them by David his son unto Saul.
All right.
Verse 21. And David came to Saul and stood before him, and he loved him greatly, and he became his armor bearer.
Right. So you see, this one just take David to carry him arms in while him going battle.
God.
That's how they take your son.
God.
They just take your son to be of service to them. Then ask no question. Continue.
Another one can. Verse 22. And Saul sent to Jesse, saying, Let David, I pray thee, stand before me, for he has found favor in my sight.
23.
Verse 23. And it came to pass, when the evil spirit from God was upon Saul, that David took an harp and played with his hand. So Saul was refreshed and was well, and the evil spirit departed from him.
Right. Just like that. Because you remember David was anointed and now the Most High was with David. So yeah, David had that little magical power. That power, that little power, which he probably don't even realize he had. But just because the Most High was with him, he was able to calm that evil spirit that would come upon Saul from time to time. Obviously, he did not cast out no spirit. He just calmed it because it's not something that he did once or twice. All right, 17.
Another one can. Verse 17. Now the Philistines gathered together their armies to battle, and were gathered together at Shaka, which belonged to Judah, and pitched between Shaka and Azekah in Ephes Damim. Verse 2. And Saul and the men of Israel were gathered together and pitched by the valley of Elah, and set the battle in array against the Philistines. Verse 3. And the Philistines stood on a mountain on the one side, and Israel stood on a mountain on the other side, and there was a valley between them.
So they were in battle array and facing each other, ready to fight, but were afraid to fight. Continue.
Another one can. Verse 4. And there went out a champion out of the camp of the Philistines named Goliath of Gath, whose height was 6 cubits and a span. Verse 5.
6 cubits and a span. Well, he was a tall man. A cubit is approximately 18 inches. It was tall. Continue.
Another one can, sir. Verse 5. And he had an helmet of brass upon his head, and he was armed with a coat of mail.
Mail.
Okay.
Mail, just like the mail.
Okay.
All right. This is the coat, the armor that they would put on, which would come like a fish scale. It come over your hand and it allows you to bend your hands and to move while the armor is moving. But even though you're moving, it still have your body covered. So it's like the fish scale. It will flex with your body.
Flexible.
All right.
Another one can. And the weight of the coat was 5,000 shekels of brass. Verse 6. Verse 6. And he had greaves of brass upon his legs, and a target of brass between his shoulders. Verse 7. And the staff of his spear was like a weaver's beam, and his spear's head weighed 600 shekels of iron, and one beareth a shield. And one bearing a shield went before him.
All right. So that's his spearhead, you know. His spearhead big. 600 shekels of iron.
But how heavy was that?
Well, I don't know how 1 shekel is what. But if 1 shekel is even 1 ounce, that is heavy.
Okay.
16 ounces make a pound. That was heavy, man. But remember, he was a tall man, you know. It was like what we would call giant.
Right.
But probably have a little trick to it, you know, because giantism, the person look tall and big and somebody for you to fear, you know. But you know, say any giant you see now, anybody you see now would be looking like a giant. They're actually a sick person.
Right. God.
Yeah, man. Because There's a lot of weight on them bone, the hips. They don't really walk, they can't walk for long. The hearting problem, all kind of things with them. But this man now, them prop him up and put him at the front. And most like you know him have a strong voice.
Good.
And he was fighting from he was in his youth. Continue.
Another one can. Verse 8. And he stood and cried unto the armies of Israel, and said unto them, Why are ye come out to set your battle in array? Am not I a Philistine, and ye servants to Saul? Choose you a man for you, and let him come down to me.
Right. Choose a man among you and make him come fight me now. I'm a Philistine, you know. We don't have servants to we. Right? I mean, aren't you servants of Saul?
Right.
Because we were serving the Philistine up to this point, you know. All right, continue.
Another one can. Verse 9. If ye be able to fight with me and to kill me, then will we be your servants. But if I prevail against him and kill him, then shall ye be our servants and serve us.
Right. 10.
Another one can, verse 10. And the Philistine said, I defy the army of Israel this day. Give me a man that we may fight together. Verse 11. When Saul and all Israel heard those words of the Philistines, they were dismayed and greatly afraid.
Right. So what this may mean again? They were astonished and afraid.
God.
Right. 12.
Another one can, verse 12. Now David was the son of that Ephrathite of Bethlehem, Judah, whose name was Jesse, and he had 8 sons. And the man went among men for an old man in the days of Saul. Verse 13. And the 3 eldest sons of Jesse went and followed Saul to the battle. And the names of his 3 sons that went to the battle were Eliab, the firstborn, and next unto him Abinadab, and the third Shammah. Verse 14. And David was the youngest, and the 3 eldest followed Saul.
Okay.
So, verse 15. But David went and returned from Saul to feed his father's sheep at Bethlehem.
So in other words, David went in service to Saul, but he would go back home.
God.
Right. Kind of work where him do at home. At times, he come and him serve Saul and him go back home. Continue.
Another one can. Salakia. Verse 16. And the Philistines drew near morning and evening and presented himself 40 days.
Right. So for 40 days, Goliath just come out and torment them with words. Well, he's very persistent. For 40 days he come out and all him do is same thing. Send a man come fight me and blah blah blah. All right, 17.
Another one can. Verse 17. And Jesse said unto David his son, Take now for thy brethren an ephah of this parched corn and these 10 loaves, and run to the camp to thy brethren.
Right, so Jesse now send David to give his other sons who was in the war food. Send food for them. So take these to their brethren. And
Another one can. Verse 18. And carried these 10 cheeses unto the captain of their 1,000. And look how thy brethren fear, and take their pledge.
All right, so basically, it was saying we send cheese. So you see, we have cheese. It's a whole cheese bit. So I'm sending cheese to the captain that was over them, of the captain that was over their 1,000. So his son's captain, he sent cheese for them. And look upon your brethren and see how well they're doing. And take their pledges, whatever pledges them send to the temple or wherever, carry it back to us. Carry it back and you will get carried to the temple fine. Take their pledge. 19.
Another one gone. Verse 19. Now Saul and they and all the men of Israel were in the valley of Elah, fighting with the Philistines. Verse 20. And David rose up early in the morning and left the sheep with a keeper, and took and went as Jesse had commanded him. And he came to the trench as the host was going forth to fight, and shouted for the battle. Verse 21. For Israel and the Philistines had put the battle in array, army against army.
Right. Continue.
Another one can. Verse 22. And David left his carriage in the hand of the keeper of the carriage, and ran into the army, and came and saluted his brethren.
So this saluting each other, this is not just a call to. That's a salute. I'll tell you, oh, the man in our whatever. Saluting his brethren simply mean that, you know, when he went in that camp, he would salute who he saw, because they were all, everyone that was there was his brethren, but he would also have his 3 elder brothers who was also his brethren.
Gone.
Right. Continue.
Another one can. Verse 23. And as he talked with them, behold, there came up the champion, the Philistine of Gath, Goliath by name, out of the armies of the Philistines, and spake according to the same words. And David heard them.
Right, so David now hear those words for himself. 24.
Another one can. Verse 24. And all the men of Israel, when they saw the man, fled from him, and were sore afraid.
Right. So all the men, when they saw Goliath, Goliath was the man who they were afraid of him and running from. Continue.
Another one can. Verse 25. And the men of Israel said, have ye seen this man that is come up? Surely to defy Israel is he come up. And it shall be that the man who killeth him, the king will enrich. Slakia will enrich him with great riches, and will give him his daughter, and make his father's house free in Israel.
26.
Another one can. Verse 26. And David spake to the men that stood by him, saying, what shall be done to the man that killeth the Philistine, and taketh away the reproach from Israel? For who is this uncircumcised Philistine, that he should defy the armies of the living God?
That was our curse words and punchline against the enemy. Who is this uncircumcised Eden?
God.
Now this is the Philistine. Who is this uncircumcised Philistine that he should be defying armies of the living God? Continue.
Another one can. Verse 27. And the people answered him after this manner, saying, so shall it be done to the man that killeth him.
Okay. Continue.
Another one can. Verse 28. And Eliab, his eldest brother, heard when he spake unto the men. And Eliab's anger was kindled against David. And he said, Why comest thou down hither? And with whom hast thou left those few sheep in the wilderness? I know thy pride and the naughtiness of thine heart, for thou art come down that thou mightest see the battle.
We don't come to see the battle, you know, but he was, because, you know, a big brother being protective of little brother, you know.
Right.
Say, hey, you come out, you shouldn't even be here. So who did it with the sheep when you're there, so now?
God.
Right? But he was trying to be protective of David, because what was being said, somebody to come up against Goliath.
God.
Now, in their mind, the man who goes up against Goliath shall surely die. Now, David come and attack like he want to go up against Goliath. Hey, you're not bother with that. So that's why it was being like that.
God.
Continue.
Another one can, sir. Verse 29. And David said, What have I now done? Is there not a cause?
Yeah, isn't there not a cause to me if you come and talk to them? You know, see what's happening? Because David understood while he was being a shepherd, he was understanding the Most High, and he was understanding what God demands of his people.
Right.
But his brothers didn't see it. So you see why they were rejected from being kings? All right, continue.
Another one can. Verse 30. And he turned from him towards another and spake after the same manner. And the people answered him again after the former manner. Verse 31. And when the words were heard which David spake, they rehearsed them before Saul, and he sent for him. Verse 32.
So that was what David's brothers were afraid of. Saul was sent him and sent him before Goliath. 32.
Another one can, verse 32. And David said to Saul, Let no man's heart fail because of him. Thy servant will go and fight with the Philistine.
With this Philistine.
So,
this is David now, the young youth, telling Saul, don't be afraid of this uncircumcised Philistine.
Right.
Let no man be afraid of him. I go and fight him. Saul, brave little lad. 33.
Another one can, verse 33. And Saul said to David, Thou art not able to go against this Philistine to fight with him, for thou art but a youth, and he a man of war from his youth.
Right. So boy, you're a novice in this thing, you know, and that the man there fight war for them a young youth.
God.
Just like a man say, oh, P-hole, you know me? You fought me a buff's gun from me at 12. And you think you can come test me?
God.
You know, it's something like that. So Saul is now telling David, you is a young boy, you know, but he been fighting wars for him. He's a young boy. You think you can go against him? You're not no match for him.
God. And Slakia, what better time for David learn to fight from him as a youth, right? So
then I don't think they would have a problem with him learning to fight, but it's who him going to fight.
God.
Because if he miss, what is at stake there is not only
okay, God.
It's not only the fact that David might die, you know,
Right.
but if David die, what is going to happen?
The whole nation are gonna fall to the Philistines.
Thank you, because that was what the Goliath was touting.
God.
So send a man come fight me. If me kill him, Israel serve us. And if him kill me, we serve you all.
God.
That's what was being touted. All right, continue.
Another one can. Verse 34. And David said unto Saul, thy servant kept his father's sheep, and there came a lion and a bear, and took a lamb out of the flock. Verse 35. And I went out after him, and smote him, and delivered it out of his mouth. And when he arose against me, I caught him by his beard, and smote him, and slew him.
So him lick down a lion and take out a sheep, take a sheep out of his mouth.
God.
And then the lion get up and come after him. He went head on with the lion, grab him by a beard, and stab him. Kill him. All right. 36.
Another one can. Verse 36. Thy servant slew both the lion and the bear, and this uncircumcised Philistine shall be as one of them, seeing he has defied the armies of the living God.
All right. 37.
Another one can. Verse 37. David said, moreover, the Lord that delivered me out of the paw of the lion and out of the paw of the bear, he will deliver me out of the hand of this Philistine. And Saul said unto David, go, and the Lord be with thee.
Right. So Saul was playing. He was just being king. Because if this man really want to go, when you tell him he can't go fight him, or go and give you the reason why he can't fight.
God.
So just another way of saying, why you think I should send you?
Right.
Saul just said, you can't fight this man, you know. This man has been fighting from he was a youth. So David give him the story now. I say, yeah, joke, man. Me kill lion and bear for my sheep then. Who is this man? I can kill him. And I know the Lord would be with me. So Saul said, all right, go and go fight him. Lord be with you. You know, this coming like, the Lord be with you because me not going to be there with you.
God go with you, God, me can't go with you.
Can't go with you, so the Lord go with you. You're going to take on this big man. I wish you would win, yes? All right, 38.
Another one can. Verse 38. And Saul armed David with his armor, and he put an helmet of brass upon his head. Also he armed him with a coat of mail.
Right, so the same kind of armor. And these them things are not more and them fight with them things are not light, you know.
God.
But guess what? For you to fight with these things, you know, you have to do training. You have to go through training with them.
God.
David never go through no training with it. Continue.
Another one can. Verse 39. And David girded his sword upon his armor, and he essayed to go, for he had not proved it. And David said unto Saul, I cannot go with these, for I have not proven them. And David put them off him.
Right. So you prove them now. You take them in training. Everything that you see these soldiers doing, you know, is what they did in training, you know.
God.
How you control a riot, how you do this, how you fight, how you do that. So when you're on the battlefield, it's just a training you really bringing into fusion.
Right.
So when him say that now, I have not proved them. It simply means I have not trained with them. So I don't know how to fight with it.
Right.
Continue.
Another one can. Verse 40. And he took his staff in his hand, and chose him 5 smooth stones out of the brook, and put them in a shepherd's bag, which he had, even in a scrip. And his sling was in his hand, and he drew near to the Philistine.
Right. So it's the same sling that him used to smote the lion.
God.
and take out him sheep. And the lion gain consciousness and come back on him. And then him slew him. All right, 41.
Another one can, verse 41. And the Philistine came on and drew near unto David, and the man that bare the shield went before him. Verse 42.
Right. So this now the man who, so you're going to fight, you have a man with a shield in front of you, just before you go into battle.
God.
Hey, I'll show you though. Is how battle go? That man bearing the shield, you know, he might fight, I know.
Right.
But he can die.
God.
Continue.
Another one can, verse 42. And when the Philistine looked about and saw David, he disdained him, for he was but a youth and ruddy and of a fair countenance.
All right, what this didn't mean.
So okay, I'm fine, it, sir. Another one can disdain, the feeling that seemed or something in unworthy is unworthy of one's consideration or respect.
Right. Yeah, go continue.
It's actually the feeling that someone or something is unworthy of one's consideration or respect.
Right. So them see David, like what I said, come like a joke.
God.
Young little youth, look like a pretty boy. What him for? All right, 43.
Another one can, verse 43. And the Philistine said unto David, am I a dog that thou comest to me with a stave, with staves? And the Philistine cursed David by his gods.
All right. By his God, by the gods of the Philistines, he was cursing him. All right. Dagon, there was Dagon. I don't remember. More than one gods the Philistines had.
God.
So it was, you know, like wood and I said, no, Almighty again, Yahweh against you or something like that. Cursing you in the name of Yahweh, you shall not prevail and blah, blah, blah. But the Philistine was doing it by the gods of the Philistines. Continue.
Another one can, verse 44. And the Philistine said to David, come to me, and I will give thy flesh unto the fowls of the air, and to the beasts of the field.
All right, buckle talk now. So 2 man now throw word. Buckle talk. Continue.
Another one can. Verse 45. Then said David to the Philistine, thou comest to me with a sword, and with a spear, and with a shield, but I come to thee in the name of the Most High power of hosts, the power of the armies of Israel, whom thou hast defied.
Right. Continue.
Another one can. Verse 46. This day will the Most High deliver thee into mine hand, and I will smite thee, and take thine head from thee, and I will give the carcass of the host of the Philistines this day unto the fowls of the air, and to the wild beasts of the earth, that all the earth may know that there is a power in Israel.
All right. So that is David now buckle talk. So, Goliath McPhee and David McPhee. 47.
Another one cancer. 47. And all this assembly will know that the Lord saveth not with sword and spear, for the battle is the Most High's, and he will give you into our hands.
All right. No, none of them couldn't make no speech like that to them because them coward.
God.
But David was a true one West man, no coward.
Right.
48.
Another one can, verse 48. And it came to pass when the Philistines arose and came and drew nigh to meet David, and David hasted and ran towards the army to meet the Philistines.
Right, so them clash now. Make them battle talk, who going to kill who going to send who to the fields, the birds of the air and the
God.
beast of the field. So man, it's all right, put aside the talk now, business time.
Right.
So them clash. Continue.
Another one can, verse 49. And David put his hand in his bag and took thence a stone and slung it and smote the Philistine in his forehead. And the stone sunk into his forehead, and he fell upon his face to the earth.
All right. David probably was a left-hander. Don't miss. 50. Verse 50. All right. Verse 50 says, so David prevailed over the Philistine with a sling and with a stone.
Salakia, sir, the chip out a while ago.
Yeah. 50.
Another one can, verse 50. So David prevailed over the Philistine with a sling and with a stone, and smote the Philistine and slew him. But there was no sword in the hand of David. Another one can, verse 51. Therefore David ran and stood upon the Philistine, and took his sword and drew it out of the sheath thereof, and slew him, and cut off his head therewith. And when the Philistines saw their companion was dead, they fled.
Right. Because he was the powerhouse in which they were throwing their weight behind him. You know, that was Goliath.
Right.
So Goliath fall. What do you think will happen? They're going to scatter.
Right.
Because the Philistine, many of those who went in the back and said, oh, that Goliath, you know, we can't lose. All right. 52.
Another one can, verse 52. And the men of Israel and of Judah arose and shouted and pursued the Philistines until thou come to the valley and to the gates of Ekron. And the wounded of the Philistines fell down by the way to Sharim, even unto Gath and unto Ekron.
Right. Be a dead man
Verse
along
50.
the way. Lots of dead men along the way. 53.
Another one can, verse 53. And the children of Israel returned from chasing after the Philistines, and they spoiled their tents. Verse
Right.
54.
This is now the spoils of war.
Right.
So, you know, all the riches that they brought with them, you know, they probably bring a piece of gold, something made of gold, something to remind them of them woman, you know, those little things. Anything of value, money. And back then, money was like real silver.
And real gold.
So, yeah. So they went back and spoiled the tent, and the tent itself was something to want.
God.
Because soldiers did not have any, didn't carry tents that were of no use. They
Right.
brought good, strong tents.
God.
Right. Continue.
Another one can, verse 54. And David took the head of the Philistine and brought it to Jerusalem, but he put his armor in his tent.
Right.
Verse 55. Another one can. And when Saul saw David go forth against the Philistine, he said unto Abner, the captain of the host, Abner, whose son is this youth? And Abner said, as thy soul liveth, O king, I cannot tell.
You know, I want to love this part because David was the same man who used to play the harp before him.
Right.
So him didn't recognize David. All right, 56.
So lucky, I probably must see it from a distance, and he must see a one man a slaughter the Philistines. You see, and he must say,
I can't see him, man. I
and he
can't
couldn't
see
make
a
him
man
out probably
who
from a
will come
distance.
in front of me. But I can't see a man
Right,
who,
you know what I mean?
came before me. Yeah.
God. Another one can. Verse 56. And the king said, inquire thou whose son this stripling is. Verse 57. And as David returned from the slaughter of the Philistine, Abner took him and brought him before Saul with the head of the Philistine in his hand.
Yeah.
I'm slack here. Could it be that Saul not even remember say him tell David say him could have go fight? Or probably expect David to win. So when him see a one man a slaughter them, must say who that?
I can't see a man who came before me. It's not the same man. It's not a different man.
Right.
So in my inquire, who is this man?
God.
Because the man who stood before me was not, he didn't look so valiant.
Right.
But this man who is doing the slaughtering here and cut off Goliath head, he looks like a valiant man. Shouldn't this man be in my army? Well, that's what he was inquiring for, you know, because this man must be in his army.
God.
All right, continue.
Another one can, verse 58. And Saul said to him, whose son art thou, thou young man? And David answered, I am the son of thy servant Jesse the Bethlehemite.
Right. I am the son of thy servant Jesse. So all Israel became servant unto the king. You know. This was what the Moses didn't want. You are a servant to him. Right. But so be it, they were a servant unto him. So you see, Saul, the king, took whoever I want to take him, take Jesse 3 sons to come serve him, 3 eldest sons. And he's going to take David too. It's just that, you know, because David was anointed, he started to envy David. Because he could see the anointment on David. All right. So, questions?
Last, sir. Salakia, last, sir. No question.
All right. So, with that, we pass the class to Priest and Officer Kayaba.
All right. Drop it up. This is the ISUPK security announcements. We are the I.S.U.P.K out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York. And the commanding general, YAHANNA. New rules for brothers and sisters. When a new brother or a sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to shed themselves of the world. After 6 months, if a brother or a sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or a sister. There's another 6 months in which the brother or sister will court each other. After this 6 months period, the brother or sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment. You can find this in Numbers 18 and verse 21, and Malachi chapter 3, verse 8 to 10. Means tenth in the Hebrew and is pronounced ma'ashara. 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives to the treasury department or teacher. Priest fund, free will offering for priests, not mandatory, whatsoever amount you'd like to give. Upcoming holy convocation, that is the memorial of the blowing of the trumpets. This is the first day of the 7th month and is on Monday the 6th of September. You can find this in Leviticus 23, verse 24 to 25. Reminding Akiam and Akwatiam to check on social media such as ISUPK.com, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and so on for I.S.U.P.K event and material. If a brother wants to be a trooper in the school, then he is to start wearing slackia. Then he is to start wearing all black, which include black boots, shirt, pants, headband, or scarf. And with that, we say I.M.A.D.U.M, which means to stand. Sarlapanya Akodam, which means turn and face the east. We're going to say the Lord's Prayer in Hebrew and then in English. Abanawa.
Abanawa.
Shabashamayam.
Shabashamayam.
Kwadash.
Kodash.
Aya.
Aya.
Shamka.
Shamka.
Ya'awa.
Yahawa.
Malakwatka.
Malakwatka.
Taba'a.
Taba'a.
Ratazaka.
Ratazaka.
Aya.
Aya.
Aisha.
Aisha.
Barataza.
Barataza.
Kawa.
Kawa.
Aya.
Aya.
Washamaya.
Mashamaya.
Natan Lanawa.
Latan Lanawa.
Lakam.
Lakam.
Yawam. Silakya. Kal.
Yawam. Kal.
Silakya. Yawam.
Yawam.
Wasalak Lanawa.
Wasalak Lanawa.
Kababwat Nawa.
Kawabwat Nawa.
Kasalak Nawa.
Kasalak Nawa.
Kawabwat Yanawa.
Kawabwat Yanawa.
Wala'a.
Wala'a.
Taba'a. Silakya. Tabaya Anawa.
Tabaya Nawa.
Banasayawan.
Banasayawan.
Abad.
Abad.
Awashai Nawa.
Awashai Nawa.
Maya.
Maya.
Rai.
Rai.
Kaya.
Kaya.
Laka.
Laka.
Amalakwat.
Amalakwat.
Wa'ala.
Wahala.
Wa'ataparak.
Wataparak.
La'aywalamyam.
Naiwalamyam.
Amen.
Amen. Our Father in English, our Father which art in heaven.
Our Father which art in heaven.
Hallowed be thy name.
Hallowed be thy name.
Thy kingdom come.
Thy kingdom come.
that will be done in earth as it is in heaven.
Thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven.
Give us this day our daily bread,
Give us this day our daily bread,
and forgive us our debts,
and forgive us our debts,
as we forgive our debtors.
as we forgive our debtors.
And lead us not into temptation,
And lead us not into temptation,
but deliver us from evil.
but deliver us from evil.
For thine is the kingdom,
For thine is the kingdom,
and the power,
and the power,
and the glory,
and the glory,
forever, so be it. Amen.
forever so be it. Amen.
All right, prayer for the curses. Blessed are you, Yahweh,
Blessed are you, Yahweh,
King of heaven and earth,
King of heaven and earth,
and all things living.
and all things living.
Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai,
Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh,
listen to us now,
listen to us now,
right now.
right now.
Send evils and curses,
Send evils and curses,
and punishment and destruction
and punishment and destruction
to the heathens
to the Edens
that speak against us, thy prophets,
that speak against us, thy prophets,
the teachers,
the teachers,
the princes,
the princes,
the priests,
the priests,
the Israelite brothers and the school.
the Israelite brothers and the school.
Send evils and curses and punishment and destruction
Send evils and curses and punishment and destruction
to the heathen,
to the Edens,
and shake loose the treasure of the rich of Israel,
and shake loose the treasures of the rich of Israel
that refuse to give to the school.
that refuse to give to the school.
Force their riches to enter into thy sanctuary.
Force their riches to enter into thy sanctuary.
Send evils and curses and punishment and destruction
Send evils and curses and punishment and destruction
to the Edomites and the nations,
to the Edomites and the nations,
and their drug dealers,
and their drug dealers,
the court system,
the court system,
the prison system,
the prison system,
Planned Parenthood,
Planned Parenthood,
all the governments of our enemies,
all the governments of our enemies,
Amalek synagogues and armies,
Amalek synagogues and armies,
Roman Catholic Church,
Roman Catholic Church,
the Pope,
the Pope,
Islam,
Islam,
Christianity,
Christianity,
Egyptology,
Egyptology,
militia,
militia,
Ku Klux Klan,
Ku Klux Klan,
Aryan Nation,
Aryan Nation,
skinheads,
skinheads,
Posse Comitazi,
Posse Comitazi,
the gay movement,
the gay movement,
the lesbian movement,
the lesbian movement,
spies,
spies,
workers of witchcraft,
workers of witchcraft,
NASA space programs,
NASA space program,
Army,
Army,
Navy,
Navy,
Air Force,
Air Force,
Marines,
Marines,
Wall Street.
Wall Street,
Open up the internet
open up the internet
and the airways,
and the airways,
the cable access channels,
the cable access channels,
and the radio channels.
and the radio channels.
Convict the spirit of any of thy people
Convict the spirit of any of thy people
that seek to stop us,
that seek to stop us,
and bring swift destruction to all the heathen
and bring swift destruction to all the Edens
that stand in the way or try to stop us from broadcasting your words.
that stand in the way or try to stop us from broadcasting your words
Throughout the planet Earth,
throughout the planet Earth.
let loose all the plagues,
Let loose all the plagues,
cause them to go to and fro
cause them to go to and fro
through the earth,
through the earth,
and consume them.
and consume them.
Let the plague shake,
Let the plagues shake,
the house of the thief and the murderer.
the house of the thief and the murderer.
Let Yahweh shine.
Let Yahweh shine.
Michael and Gabriel,
Michael and Gabriel,
come down with the flying saucers. Come down with the flying saucers.
come down with the flying saucers
And punish all the heathen.
and punish all the heathens
that come up against us
that come up against us
as we speak thy word.
as we speak thy word.
Cause it to be known by all
Cause it to be known by all
that it is the angels that have done it.
that it is the angels that have done it.
Cause it to be spread through the media,
Cause it to be spread through the media,
throughout the whole world.
throughout the whole world.
Cause them to shake at thy coming.
Cause them to shake at thy coming.
In the name of Yahweh, I thank you always, so be it.
In the name of Yahweh, I thank you always, so be it. All right, this is the prayer for the power in Hebrew. Yahweh Basham Yahweh Shai.
Yahweh Basham Yahweh Shai.
Baba Kosha.
Baba Kosha.
Natan Lanawa.
Natan Lanawa.
Akak.
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 Larpa.
Larpa.
Kalmakala.
Kalmakala.
Wakal Madawa.
Wakal Madawa.
Akak.
Akak.
Lata'ar.
Latahar.
Amatazaraya.
Amatazaraya.
Akak.
Akak.
Lahakwayam.
Lahakwayam.
Amatayam.
Amatyam.
Akak.
Akak.
Ilrakawa.
Irakawa.
Atamala.
Atamala.
Lagarshan.
Lagarashan.
Basham Yahweh Shai.
Basham Yahweh Shai.
Tuwada Aman.
Tawada Aman. In English, Yahweh in the name of Yahweh Shai.
Yahweh in the name of Yahweh Shai.
Please give us the power.
Please give us the power.
The power to heal all manner of sickness and all manner of disease.
The power to heal all manner of sickness and all manner of disease.
The power to cleanse the lepers.
The power to cleanse the lepers.
The power to raise the dead. Power to raise the dead.
The power to raise the dead.
The power against unclean spirit.
The power against unclean spirits.
To cast them out in the name of Yahweh Shai. Thank you, so be.
To cast them out in the name of Yahweh Shai. Thank you, so be it. All right, see. Slack.
I don't have the other prayer with me now.
You mean the prayer for the blessings?
Yeah, the other. Yeah, I don't have that one.
Slack, yeah. So I have it here. Should I just read it or come for the Slack?
Now look if we can find a copy like and I know it
Okay.
still. Alright, just close out. Just one of the close out.
All right. Sar, which means to turn.
Yeah.
We're going to give one courtesy salute to the teacher, men of Israel. I.M.A.D.U.M. Shabbat. I.M.A.D.U.M. Barak. Ya Allah Shami Awashai Barakatah. Yaramata. We're going to give one courtesy salute to the sisters, men of Israel. Turn and face the sisters. Men of Israel, I Madium Shabbat. I Madium Barak. Ya Awa Shamar Ailatan Basham. Yaramata. Class dismissed. All right, remember to like the video, share, you understand, leave in a comment, you understand, and no questions. You know what I mean? If you don't have questions, then you can just type it in the comments. You know what I mean? Next class, my brother Abadawan, you know what I mean, can answer those questions, all right? And with that, Shalom.
In this time of the pandemic, where COVID-19 has crippled the world economies, where our government has ordered nationwide shutdown, where hospitals are overwhelmed.
Shortly after, the unthinkable happened.
I was literally stunned and frozen.
And their religious leaders are proven to be frauds. Where do you go to get all your questions answered and to hear what God has to say about this matter? You can only find the answers in the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge under Commanding General YAHANNA. We give you scriptural breakdowns of world events and the up and coming world war. We will show you in the Bible where the children of Israel were the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans today would suffer slavery in Jamaica, Caribbean, North, Central, and South America, and other parts of the world. We will show you in the Bible where God said he would send plagues upon the earth before he frees people from this captivity.
The World Health Organization has declared coronavirus a global pandemic.
We will give you the true teaching of the Bible, precept upon precept. To learn more, subscribe today. Call the number in the description for I.S.U.P.K Jamaica. Shalom.
Who's that creeping through my window? 40 on me like I'm Winslow. Hit that nigga with that act right. I was fighting wars day and night. Who's that creeping through my window? 40 on me like I'm Winslow. Hit that nigga with that act right. I was fighting wars day and night.
They keep it real when niggas, man, most of y'all frauds. Lead like you frauds. Y'all pussy niggas